Welcome to the Valareso Capital community, where we discuss the stock market and trading strategies to become a consistently profitable trader and investor. Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're going to go through the market update and we're also going to take a look at the weekly watch list. Remember guys that this video is for informational purposes only, is based just on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. So let's just jump here into the charts. The first chart that I want to cover is actually the IWM. Remember guys that we were talking about this chart, and let me just take these labels out of the way here. Remember guys that we were talking about the IWM, and I was actually expecting, the expectation for last week was actually seeing a rally in the IWM, right? The thesis that we built from that is that after this pullback that we had here into the 50 daily moving average, we actually had a pretty strong rebound to the upside. So you can see right here that we had this huge move to the upside, and then we were seeing this really tight price action here in the IWM. So the expectation was to see a continuation to the upside and then perhaps a really nice test of this 205 area in the IWM. So the setup was actually there. And if we take a look at the moving averages, you can see right here that the price was actually holding those moving averages really nicely. So the setup was actually a high probability setup. But then of course we had FOMC right here on Wednesday. And then basically what happened is that price broke below those moving averages. So if we just base our analysis here on those moving averages, you can see right here that the moving averages were acting as support. But the moment that we had the price action reaction after FOMC, you can see right now that these moving averages are acting as resistance. I do think, and remember guys that the purpose of these videos is to create a possible roadmap for next week, but also we have to understand that I'm giving you this information based on the price action that we had on Friday, right? Everything can change on Monday. So I'm giving you my thesis based on what happened on Friday. So as of now, what is happening is that these moving averages that were acting as support are now acting as resistance. And you can see right here that also we have my indicator is actually finding a little bit of resistance. You can see a really nice example right here. And then we had this move to the downside. So we are actually seeing some really interesting and similar action that we had the last time that IWM had this move to the downside. So the expectation for now is that if the IWM actually loses that 50 daily moving averages, that 50 daily moving average, I do think that 200 daily moving average is actually a pretty high probability target. So this one will be a really easy setup to analyze, because as long as price continues to hold this 199.53 level, then the expectation is that IWM will eventually continue to the upside. But if we happen to drop below that level, that will be the trigger to the downside, and then perhaps we will see that move in the IWM. And I do think that is important to have that scenario in mind, especially if you're trading those kind of growth names that are related to the Russell 2000. So that is kind of what is happening in the IWM. But actually we jump to the SPX, the story is completely different. And I don't think that there's any surprise here, right? We have really nice earnings reactions on Amazon, on Meta, some really nice reactions, and on Netflix as well. But of course that was a couple of weeks ago. But this is basically, remember that the SPX is a highly weighted ETF basically on those mega cap names. So we have really nice reactions on those names, that like the ones that we had a couple of weeks ago. Then the assumption is that of course we're gonna see these type of moves on the SPX. So we have to take into consideration that. So really huge move to the upside. I do think that it's gonna be really interesting to see what is the reaction to this 5,000 level on the SPX. Those really big round numbers tend to be magnetic. So my expectation is actually that right now the price is actually making a new high. I do think that there's no reason why the SPX is not going to attack that 5,000 level and then perhaps continue to go a little bit to the upside, right? The pattern is there. We continue to hold these moving averages. You can see right here that we held this 13 exponential and we're just blasting through the upside. So the indicator that I actually work on this week is actually pretty interesting, because I tend to look a lot at market structure, but sometimes it's easy to miss some things if you don't have proper labels. So right now, what I did here is I actually found a really nice code on TradingView, and basically I just changed a couple of things and make it my own, so that I can see the kind of price structure that I want to see, based on the length of the candles that I used to that I tend to trade, because I'm a swing trader. I'm a short-term swing trader, so I want to see the price action in the daily chart based on just a couple of days ago, right? So as you can see right here, we continue to make higher highs and we continue to make higher lows, and that's basically just telling us that the price action is just gonna continue to the upside unless we make a new, we have to start with a lower low, right? So basically, price action and the market structure continues to be bullish, the momentum continues to be bullish, the SPX is at new highs. So my expectation is that we're going to continue to see a strength in the market, but I do think that the IWM is going to be a really nice, I think it's going to be a really nice kind of an early signal if something is gonna pause in the SPX. So keep that chart in mind. I think it's gonna be really important. And then basically the market is looking the same, right? If we jump into the Qs, you can see right here that the Qs actually, they were trying to change the short-term structure. You can see right actually here that we printed a lower low, right? We had a lower high, that's the first step, and then we had a lower low. But actually what happened on Friday is that we are already breaking up above that lower high, and that basically is gonna, the label then on Monday, we're gonna see a higher low here on the QQQs, and that's actually reclaiming that bullish structure. So really useful indicator. I like it a lot, and it's a really nice way to just assess the market, use the labels, and then create a thesis based on the market structure, which I think is the most important thing, because the first thing that changes is always going to be that market structure. So overall, guys, market is looking super bullish. There's only just one thing that besides the IWM, so it's going to be two things that I think can give us an early warning. That's the word that I was looking for, an early warning if the SPX is gonna pause somewhere around that 5,000 level. So if we just take a look here at the BXX, or you can take a look also at the UBXY, it's basically the same chart, but basically we're taking a look at an ETF that is looking at the VIX futures, right? Not exactly the VIX, but we're taking a look at the VIX futures. And the reason that I like to take a look at these charts is because they tend to have equity properties. So you tend to see these trending properties, and you tend to see these really nice, it's basically like watching a stock, because if you're watching the VIX, and I watch the VIX a lot, the VIX is a mean reverting indicator. That means that is always trending within a range. So it's actually pretty hard to create a really nice thesis based on the price action of the VIX, because it just trades completely different than the SPX. So the BXX is actually a really nice indicator, and also the UBXY if you want to use it. So basically what's happening here is, if we jump into the structure indicator, because it's going to be easier to see it that way, you can see right now that the VIX is already changing the structure in price, which is the first step of a possible warning that we're going to see a spike in volatility. So you can see right here that we were just making lower lows, right? Lower highs, lower lows. We make a lower high, but what happened here is that we actually make a higher low, and then we make a higher high, and that's the first suggestion. Remember, guys, that this is just a suggestion, because we can get just a lower low next week, and then this can continue to the downside. But this is the first suggestion that probably here volatility wants to give us a surprise. So just keep this chart in mind. You can see right here that we make a higher low. We are holding right now this 8 exponential moving average. You can see these wicks, and basically these wicks suggest that buyers are supporting the moving average. So if we happen to see a spike, take a look at this, watch this 50 daily moving average. Perhaps that's going to act as resistance, but I actually think that this is actually pretty interesting to see in the VXX because we haven't seen that, right? We have just been making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, and this is the first time that I'm seeing this higher low and then higher high here in the VXX. So just keep that in mind. And if we just jump really quickly here into the VIX, let me just take this out because this doesn't work that well here in the VIX. You can see right now that the VIX, if you want to take a look at the VIX is actually continues to hold these moving averages. Is it a really strong suggestion as the one that we saw in the VXX? I don't think so, but I think it's important to watch it. If you watch the VIX, momentum is also positive, so perhaps this is also a suggestion that we're gonna pause somewhere around that level in the SPX. So that's basically gonna be it for the video, guys. In terms of watch list, I do think that a lot of things that I trade personally are extended. I love to trade the SPX, I love to trade the Qs. So as of now, I don't have any setups, to be honest. Perhaps watching the IWM as a possible short, that could be a setup if you want to trade that. I already gave you the trigger. The trigger is going to be basically if we happen to break below that 50 daily moving average, that will be your short trigger. Or if you like building your exposure near those moving averages, that will also be a nice place to start doing it. Other than that, just wait for more information, wait for any changes in the structure if you want to trade to the short side, or just wait for a pullback if you want to grab some new exposure to the upside. So that's gonna be it for the video, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you on future videos. Take care and bye bye.